did they need that crisis to give them all the right for them to go and retaliate, even though Egypt, CIA, everybody gave them the intel, this is going to happen to you, and they kind of looked the other way. And then come now, this is where there's a bit of a division on the conservative side, okay, when we're coming to election cycle. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of people that are sitting there saying, look, Kevin, I get it. You're telling me that Putin is Hitler. You're telling me all these other things. But man, I'm not for giving more money to any of these guys. I'm not for sending more of our troops. I'm not for more, military industrial complex. This is just costing us more money. We're sending more weapons. Shouldn't we be more worried about our country and kind of not get involved in a lot of the mess that's happening over there? What do you say to folks like that?
I do twofold, okay? First, let's finish this with Netanyahu. That's exactly the message you want to go, because watching Iran, just the internal protests they had. These are free-loving people who want to be able to have a democracy and govern different. They're oppressed by their leadership. And we know. And so speaking directly to them to try to make something different. And the only way Iran is ever going to be free is from within to be able. And I think we missed a big opportunity during the Green Revolution with Obama in there. I was just thinking, if Reagan was around, he would have stood for it, right? The power of America, our greatest strength is not our aircraft carrier, it's the idea of America. That's what changes things. Okay, this is a great debate to have, and if you study history, where was the Republican Party in the early 1900s? We became isolationists, and you watched World War II begin. People say we're sending all this money to Ukraine. I always question, because I like accountability. Technically, not a lot's going to Ukraine. It's going to replenish our weapons. What we do is we send the weapons to Ukraine, and think about it. It's like, okay, we're going to get, you need a phone. Okay, we're going to give you our old iPhone, and we're going to go buy a new one. The other thing we should learn from Ukraine is the next war is going to be fought different. Okay, I believe the next war will start in space. Okay, after Desert Storm, the world watched America, okay? Desert Storm, and China watched this too, that no longer do we just drop bombs. We'll send into your window a bomb to get you, right? We'll move an aircraft carrier 250 miles and we'll touch you. So what does China do? They don't build aircraft carriers. They build missiles to sink them. Then they build islands and lie to us and weaponize them to push us further back. They watch we use GPS. So what do? They start going to space. You may not know it. They got a rover on Mars. China's landed on the back side of the moon, the dark side. We have not. It's difficult. If you watch, if you've, you didn't read Graham Allison's Destined for War. If you study world history, 16 times in world history, the number 2 power has surpassed the number 1. Only 4 of those times they did not go to war. And so I don't think China ever surpasses us. Their form of government's wrong, the idea of freedom and everything else. But this was a concern of mine. And what really got me thinking is, I'll tell you this, I was walking the grave sites at the 75th anniversary of Normandy. Mm-hmm. And I'm actually with Nancy Pelosi. She's speaker, I'm leader. And I'm reading the names. They're all young men. They all come from different faiths. Mm-hmm. And I'm wondering, what would the policymakers have done that day never would have happened? Okay. It's not a week before, it's like a decade before. So when I became speaker, I created what is called the Select Committee on China. And I sat with the minority leader at the time, Hakeem, and I said, here's the names of the Republicans I'm going to appoint before I even tell the Republicans. And when we constitute this committee, I want you there with me. I don't want this to be a partisan committee. I'm not going to make the majority a bigger size in there. I'm going to make it very close in number so it sustains and rather who. And the reason why is I don't want us to prepare for war. I want us to build that we never have war, okay? So if you look at the dependencies, especially after COVID, what did we learn? China controls 90% of the critical minerals. So we can go open a new mine, but you know what else? China controls 95% of the processing of critical minerals. They control 50% of our medical supplies. And what we've done is we sat back and we've allowed this to take place. And I will tell you, with all things that are happening in Congress, this has been a very good committee work together. When the president of Taiwan came to America to see me, I said I would. And I wanted the meeting to be at the Reagan Library because there's no greater symbolism of defeating communism without even a bullet being fired.
Simi Valley.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I held it there. She comes to see me. China pays protesters $500. They're out there waving China flags. That's fine. It's America. You're allowed to do that, right? So we have a meeting. I bring a bipartisan group. So these Democrats who belong to this select committee come to Ronald Reagan's library, which is big for them at the same time, right? We have a great meeting with the president. Then we do a press conference out back with a big piece of the Berlin Wall behind it. 173 cameras come. It's the first day they indict Trump in New York over some BS thing, right? And the Democrats are a little afraid, like, I'm going to go up and do a press conference with him. I said, listen, I won't let him ask any question about that. This is all subject. Andrea Mitchell is sitting there in the front, and she says in her question, I was with Reagan when he said, tear down this wall, and it made me emotional. I want to tell you, I'm just as emotional today seeing all of you together. So my point here is there's a lot of challenges in this world. This world has been teetering where they have not had a world war in 79 years. That's a long time. You got 9 countries with a nuclear capability, others who are trying. You've got disruption in the Middle East. But why are we here? This is a good case to understand why this election is so important. The only time Putin did not invade another country was under Donald Trump. China had not partnered with Russia and North Korea. We didn't have 5 embassies that we had to evacuate. We didn't have a war in Ukraine. We didn't have and just give up a base in Africa that Russia just walked into, that we used to have 1,000 troops where we used a lot of our drones to study where other stuff is coming. So I tell my friends who get worried about America, okay? I worry about this each and every day. The world looks more dangerous. It's not a time that you take yourself off the sitting stage. You don't have to put a lot of money. Tell me one American who has died in Ukraine in our military uniforms. Nobody. Russia, before this transpired, was considered probably the 2nd or 3rd strongest military. It has been decimated, right? And what we have found too is the next war is not going to be, and we have to learn this, we can't spend $5 million missiles to shoot down a $10 drone. We have to transform our entire military. And what we need to do is grab Silicon Valley to do it. Do you know Palmer Luckey?
No.
Palmer's a dear friend. Palmer's a unique guy, homeschooled, went to Long Beach State when I met him. And I asked him, what are you studying? He goes, well, I don't go to school anymore. I only went there 3 years.
Oh, yes. I know. He's the Oculus guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He created Oculus, but he has Anduril today, right? If you think about one other thing I did before I became speaker, I wanted to prepare for this position, right? So MIT teaches a course in AI and quantum to all the generals in our military. Whichever country captures that first will have an advantage.
This is the USA gear, limited edition for the rest of the year. If you love America, sport this USA gear. On the side it says Future Looks Bright. On the back it says Valuetainment. On the side it's got the American flag. We got the shirts. We got the flip-flops. These are the only flip-flops I wear when I'm at the house and walking the dogs. It feels amazing with the gel in it. So if you love America, if you believe the future looks bright, if you love Valuetainment, click on the link above or below. Go wear some of the gear and tag us because we share the pictures on the podcast all the time. So go to vtmerch.com and place your order.
So if you like this clip and you want to watch another one, click right here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click right here.